Hi there, Year 9s. In this video, we're going to now do box plots in exercise 9K. Now, box plots, specifically, you're going to be using the 5-number summary that you would have done in the previous exercises to fill out the box plot. Now, let's have a look at the notes here. We've got box plot features. We've got at the end of this tail, as you can see over here, that ending point, we usually use a dot to signify that it is the minimum. And then the next key part is this vertical line where the box actually starts. Okay, so that line there corresponds to Q1, and that's your lower quartile or Q1 data. And then you've got your next one. The next vertical line here is your Q2, which corresponds right there. And then the last part of the box, or the ending of your box, ends at Q3. So this makes up your entire box here, and that length of the box, so from here to here, is what is known as the IQR. And then finally, at the very end of the whiskers, you get what we call this line over here. That is your maximum. Okay, so that's your 5-number summary there. You got minimum, Q1, Q2, Q3, that's 4 there, and then your maximum, that's 5. So you got 5 key numbers there, and with those 5 key numbers, you can find the range, okay, and you can also find the IQR, which is the distance between Q1 and Q3. All right, so those are your key features there, but let's get right into, and then obviously these lines here are called the whiskers. All right. Now, when they say, and this is one of the key sentences, just so you understand, when they say quartile 1, what it just means is the first section, so from the minimum, the smallest number, all the way to Q1, that's 25% of the data will sit there. So a quarter of it, that's why it's called quarter Q1 or quartile 1. Then your next, from Q1 to Q2, that's your next 25%. And then from Q2 to Q3, that's your next 25%. So in total, that's 75% so far. And then finally, if you add on the last 25%, that's how you get 100%. So all of the data then sits between minimum to maximum. Okay, so hence Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Oh, sorry, Q3. By the end of Q3 to max, that gives you all of your data. Now, when they say 25% of the data, so here 25% of the data are above what value? What do they mean? Okay, so when they say 25%, well, which region are we? We are either in this section from minimum to Q1 or Q1 to Q2 or Q2 to Q3 or Q3 to the maximum, right? And so when they say 25% of the data are above what value? Well, clearly, for you only to have 25% and it needs to be above a certain value, this is the only section that you could be working with. Why is that? Well, that's because from here to here to the maximum, that's 25%. That's above. So the more you go to the right, the bigger the number is, right? So from here to here is 25%. So when they say above what value, well, it's above whatever the value of Q3 is. Okay. And if they said, well, it's above 50%, so 50% of the data is above a number, well, 50% of the data is from here to here, because that's 25 plus 25 gives you 50, and that's above, right? So then it will be above the number Q2. So 25%, if it's above, well, then it's Q3. If you're saying 50% of the data is above a certain number, well, it has to be above whatever Q2 is. If, on the other hand, if I wanted to talk about this bottom 25%, if I want to say, well, who is in the bottom 25%, right? Then I would say 25% of the data is below. So what number is it below? Well, clearly it's below Q1. So whatever Q1 is equal to, right? And then same thing, if I said, what's the lower half? So 50% of the data is below what number? Well, again, it's below Q2. Okay, so hopefully you're sort of understanding the idea of the language we're using when we say 25% of the data, 50% of the data, 75% of the data, etc. Let's do some examples now. Okay, so reminder, we use and I'm going to remind you again, it's called the 5-number summary. All right, to sketch the box plots. So here's an example so that we can sketch a box plot. You've got 12, 8, 9, 13. Now, they're all in disorganized order. We want them in ascending order, which means smallest to largest. Okay, so we want smallest to largest. So here we go. If you didn't know that, just write small to large. And so let's start out with our smallest number, which clearly is a 1. So we've got a 1. So we've got 1. Next number is, so 1's gone. It's an 8. I think 8 is the next smallest number. 8. And then I've got maybe 12, 13. So 12, 13's gone. 15's probably next. 17's next. 2 19s. I've got 2 19s here. So 19, 19. Looks like 22 is the next one. And then lastly, 24. So how many numbers do we have there? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's even sets of numbers. All right. Well, let's calculate it. So the minimum clearly is the smallest number we've got is a 1. So we say 1. The largest number we got is a 24. So we say it's 24. So I like to do the maximum and minimums first. And then I find the middle. So median. Q2 is the median, which really means the middle. If you forgot about that, it means the middle. So what's the middle of 10 numbers? Well, hopefully you remember the rule, or at least one of the little tips that we taught you to find. The median can be found in which position? Well, if you took the number of numbers that you have, which we have 10, and you add 1 to it and then divide it by 2 and you halve it, right? So we've got 10 plus 1 and then divided by 2. That's 11 divided by 2. Now what's half of 11? Hopefully you figured out, or you can use a calculator. It's 5.5. So what does that mean? That means that the median can be found in the between 5 and 6 because it's in the 5.5 position. So where's 5.5? 5.5 is somewhere here. So the middle must be right there. I'm cutting it down. It's right there. So 5.5 is there. So it's in between which two numbers? Well, you can see it's in between 15 and 17. So that means the median. How do you find the middle of two numbers? Well, we know the number between 15 and 17 is 16. But if you didn't know that, you find the average between the two. So 15 plus 17 and you halve it. And that will give you 16 there. You can try it on your calculator. All right, now that you've got the middle, then now what is Q1? Remember, Q1 is the middle of the lower half. And you can see here in the lower half, I've got, I'm just going to change the colors. I've got these numbers below. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, clearly that's odd numbers there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 numbers, and that's odd. And clearly the middle number is 3. And if you didn't know that, you could have taken the number of numbers you had in the lower half, and that was 5, and you add 1 to it. So 5 plus 1 divided by 2, and 6 divided by 2 gives you the third position. So you can see the third position, it's 12. So Q1 is equal to then 12. And same thing with Q3. We've got 5 numbers, so the third position. So this is 1, 2, 3. Third position, that must then be Q3. So Q3 equals to 19. Now that we've got our 5-number summary, so now then let's draw our box plot. So remember, usually we do it to scale. I can't be bothered using a ruler at the moment, so I'm just going to do a quick one. So I'll say, let's say 1 is all the way down here, and let's say 24 is all the way there. So 12 is somewhere in the middle. So 12 is somewhere in the middle. And then half of 12, so 6 is somewhere here, and then 18 is somewhere there, right? Now, let's plot the numbers. So 1 being the smallest number, so I've got 1, so there we go. I put a dot there. 24 is my biggest number, which is there. And then I need to look for my median. Well, where's my median? Median was at 16, so 16 is probably somewhere just around here. I reckon 16 is somewhere there. Okay, so we'll just draw a line because I'm doing an estimate. I'm not doing an accurate scales. So that's 16, and then that's the median. You draw a vertical line, so that's the middle. Then Q1 is at 12, so that was nice and easy. So 12 is here. And then where is my Q3? 19, so just a bit above 18, so maybe just put it right there. Okay, then I connect the boxes together. I connect the box, I connect the box, and that will give me my interquartile range. So 19's here, so you got to label them. I got 12, 16, 19, and then connect the box using whiskers to the maximum and to the minimum. So there's my box plot there. So this is, remember, this is your minimum. Yeah, I'm just going to use a different color to remind you. So this is the minimum number. We got Q1 over here. This was Q2, so that's the median. 19 is Q3, and then maximum is 24. And that's how you draw a box plot. Okay, so you need the 5 number summary. You can do some examples over here. Same idea. This is just an application question to put it all together. So let's do it again. Reading this question here, we can see that the minimum is at 0. Maximum is clearly up here, which is 30. The first vertical line is Q1, so Q1 must be 10. The second one is then Q2, so that's 15. And then you got 25 up here, that's your next vertical line, that must be then Q3. Okay, so interquartile range is always between Q1 and Q3. So clearly from 10 to 25, my IQR, just looking at that, is 25, take away 10, which is 15. Okay, distance between 10 and 25 is my IQR. Right? And my range is obviously from the minimum to the maximum. That's my range, which from 0 to 30 is going to equal to 30. Yeah, so I'm just doing a very quick calculation here. But anyways, let's answer the questions. It says B, 50% of days had sales below what number? So remember those quartiles I just said at the start of this video? Well, 50% of the data, that means half of the data. Well, Q2 talks about the median. So this is 25% from Q1 to Q2, and then 0 to Q1 is 25%. So together, that's 50. That's 50% there. So 50% of the data is below what number? It's below 15. So below 15. 15% of the data is below 15. And it says 25% of days had sales above what number? So you want 25%, right? Well, this is 25%. If it's above 50, you have to account for Q3 to max as well. So it can't be above 15. It has to be this one. This is above 25 to 30 is 25%. So it must be above 25. And then last one, if there were 80 days of sales, on how many days were there fewer than 10 sales? So let's have a look at the diagram again. I'm just going to rub all this out to not confuse you. So below 10 sales, so 10 is over here. If it's below 10 sales, remember this is Q1, and Q1 all the way to this end, that's your minimum. So minimum to Q1, remember that's 25% of the data. So that means when they say if there were 80 days, how many of those days were fewer than 10 sales? Well, we know 25% of those 80 days were fewer than 10 sales. So let's work it out. Use your calculator. How do you find 25% of 80? 25% just means 25 over 100. Of means multiplication or times. And 80, well, you can type that on your calculator. You can type in 25 divided by 100, and then you times that to 80. Whoops, times it to 80. But I know that 25 over 100 is a quarter. So it's like saying a quarter of 80, and a quarter of 80 we know is 20. So you can use a calculator or you can use a bit of fraction skills there. But that means 20 days of the sales have fewer than 10 sales. Okay? So 20 days of those sales will have fewer than 10 sales. And that's how you use the box plot to interpret. Okay, so that's exercise 9K there, team.